Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I'm you guys, our team builder here for week 11 of the APA. The St. Louis Rampardos are taking on the South Florida Bulus and my friend LynxForte in an epic matchup here. Now, obviously in the APA, we've had a little bit of a slide here. We've lost 3 games in a row. We're sitting at 7-3. The Bulus are sitting at 5-5. If we win this game, we advance to playoffs regardless. So that's really what we're aiming for at the end of the season. If we make playoffs, and you know, at the end of the regular season, if we make playoffs, then it's a win there either way. So regardless of what's happened the last couple weeks, fresh mindset moving forward here, trying to clinch playoffs this week. We've got a pretty tough team ahead of us. He's got, like I said, a 5-5 record so far, but he's got some big threats, and it was tough to team build this week, but I think we've got the right team, so we're going to try to bounce back. Let's talk about his team, then we'll talk about my team, what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing it, so on and so forth, and of course, hit that like button down below and subscribe if you aren't new. He's got Victini, one of his Z Crystal users. Obviously, Victini, a huge threat. I think in this matchup, he's got to either bring one of two things. He either brings like a V-Create Choice Bandit set and just try to break through my team, which is kind of risky because I do have Flashfire Houndoom, which easily switches in on that. I also have Torkoal. He's got to be scared of that. I think more realistically though, he brings a special set, a special Victini with you know, with like Dazzling Gleam, like a Life Orb set, maybe Expert Belt, or even Choice Scarf as an option as well to kind of try to counter my Como-O's setting up Dragon Dances. He's got the Mega Venusaur, which is a tremendous threat as well, just very bulky Pokemon. I can see him running a couple different things. I don't know if he's gonna hard predict Sun and try to run like Growth or something like that, but he does have to Mega Evolve and get Thick Fat, so he won't be able to take advantage of Chlorophyll regardless, but it can be running like Earthquake. It can also run like Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain, stuff like that. So Mega Venusaur obviously just very bulky, and in Sun, Synthesis is going to heal him up a tremendous amount, so he may try to take advantage of that and get some serious recovery there. Milotic is one of the scarier Pokemon on his team that I'm most worried about in this matchup, just because of Flame Orb. Milotic is really hard for me to take down. I can beat every other set of Milotic with the team I brought, but Flame Orb is going to be really difficult, so hopefully he doesn't bring that. I think he would probably want to bring some sort of berry maybe, or Leftovers is pretty standard. I don't know if he would go with the Flame Orb, but if he does bring Flame Orb, it's going to be very difficult for me to take down. He's got the Scissor, of course, which could be Choice Banded, could be like defensive. You can do a couple different things. I don't know if Scissor comes to this match, to be honest. With me having a Torkoal, a Celesteela, things like that, I just don't know if he brings Scissor. Scissor is a good Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if I see it coming this week. I think it has advantages against some stuff, but I think generally it has a hard time in this matchup. Again, like I said, Celesteela and a lot of the things on my team carrying fire coverage, him being really scared of Houndoom, obviously, and Torkoal kind of coming together, so I don't know if he brings it, but nevertheless, you know, it could be a Swords Dance variant, but more likely I feel like it's like Bullet Punch and maybe Defog. Florges is his other hazard remover with Defog, of course. Very bulky fairy type Pokemon, can sponge hits from the physical and special side, mostly seen physically defensive, might be carrying like Moonblast, HP Ground, Wish, Protect, something like that I could see from his Florges, but again, tough bring because the Celesteela kind of shuts it down, but I think he's got to be really scared of like things like Como-O and stuff, so he very well might bring it. You know, Houndoom, it can kind of take a hit from a Houndoom. He could try to bring like Kebia Berry to stop Sludge Bomb, but Fire Blast and Sun does more anyway, but something to make note of there. He's got the Zoroark, of course, which is very scary just because it can disguise itself as something else, so I've kind of prepared. Normally Zoroark will disguise itself as Victini, so that's kind of cool. I've always wanted to pair the two together. I tried to in the NPA, but I wasn't able to get Zoroark, but nevertheless, I have some strategies on how to deal with that, so you'll see in my team builder, or my prep, but normally Zoroark is like specially offensive. Could be mixed with like knockoff and stuff, but generally that's what it's gonna be running. It gets Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, stuff like that. Druddigon, of course, is his Dragon type. It's pretty bulky. It's one of his few Stealth Rockers. He only really has Druddigon and Kecleon to set rocks. Quagsire doesn't get Stealth Rocks. It's pretty bulky. Obviously, the Rocky Helmet could be really annoying if he tries to run like a Rocky Helmet set, but I don't really feel that is like too big of a concern for the team that I'm bringing. So Druddigon may come as a Stealth Rocker, but I think if he wants rocks, he's probably gonna bring Kecleon. He's got the Tornadus, of course. Tornadus is just a pretty hard-hitting Pokemon. His other Z Crystal user, it's really fast at 111 base speed, and it does hit pretty hard, obviously. He could be running like a Z Fly or something like that. You know, maybe, I don't know what Z move he would run. He could run like a bulk up set, but he's got a couple different things. Like Hurricane, like I said. Tornadus, like I said, kind of scary, but I feel like it's a lot of its moves, like it gets decent coverage, but it's relatively frail, and it has a hard time like breaking through teams because it has to rely on like hitting Hurricanes and stuff, or acrobatics and things like that, so it can be kind of a weird Pokemon. Quagsire is his only rock resist, which I bring out now because of the team I brought. Quagsire doesn't get Stealth Rocks, but it does get like Recover, Earthquake, Earth Power, Scald, Ice Beam, things like that. More so if he brings it, it's gonna be a bulkier defensive set. Electivire is kind of scary. Choice Scarf, Electivire Electivire actually worries me quite a bit just because he can Volt Switch and then be like physically offensive with like Wild Charge or Thunder Punch, Ice Punch. You know, I could even, you know, a couple things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought Electivire just because Celesteela is such a problem. So luckily Electivire is pretty frail, so it's going to be a priority to just kind of whittle it down with the rest of the team. I do think Choice Scarf Electivire comes though with Earthquake. I would not be surprised if he brought a Choice Scarf set. And then last but not least is Kecleon, which I do think has a possibility to be brought. Same kind of deal. Kecleon can be like, he could probably run like Fake Out on it, like Fake Out, Sucker Punch, maybe Shadow Sneak, and like Rock Slide or Stealth Rock if he wants to run something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Kecleon as well. I feel like with the priority, it could be kind of decent against my team, so I wouldn't be super blown away if he brought it. So let's talk about our team, what we're bringing and why we're bringing it. First thing, like I said, I noticed that Quagsire is his only rock resist, so I'm bringing Choice Band Lycanroc. Choice Band, Lycanroc, Stone Edge, 2-shots the entire team, except for Flame Orb Milotic, as I mentioned, but Milotic takes about 49 to 58% of his max defense, so I will be able to 2-shot that thing most of the time. You know, if rocks are up, then I definitely 2-shot him, which is nice. Excel Rock is really, really good. It one-shots Tornadus, and after rocks, it has a really good chance to one-shot Victini, so that priority is really useful there. Fire Fang does destroy the Scissor. Obviously, he can Bullet Punch, but Scissor doesn't want to come in on a Stone Edge either way. Like, it's still going to be doing, it could actually knock him out, and obviously with the high crit chance, really solid. Iron Head is just there for the Florges as we hit a little bit harder there. Even Venusaur doesn't want to switch into 2 Stone Edges, so obviously we have to hit them, but I think you know, Lycanroc is really, really solid in this match just on how strong it is, and I think that that priority is really useful, especially being Choice Banded, allowing me to switch into things like Electivire if he's Scarfed, and I can hit him really, really hard with an Accel Rock, especially if I'm able to get some chip damage on him. The next Pokemon is our Mimikyu, and I debated back and forth about this set, but I decided to rock with Ghostium Z Mimikyu. This one is rocking Shadow Claw, Wood Hammer, Swords Dance, and Shadow Sneak. I decided to forgo Play Rough. As much as I feel like Play Rough would be useful against things like Zoroark, Androdigon, and Kecleon, I feel like the priority in Shadow Sneak is more important to help me against things like Scissor and Victini. If I can get that Swords Dance up, which because of our disguise, we should be able to do, I can really nuke a lot of his team with things like Ghostium Z, Neverending Nightmare, Shadow Claw does a tremendous amount to everything. Woodhammer does 2-shot the Milotic especially, or 1-shot after Swords Dance, so there are opportunities for us to set up there. We can obviously break through things like Florges, and you know, Quagsire doesn't want to take a Woodhammer either, so we've got those options there. And again, same thing, priority for Electivire is super important. Kecleon's a bit annoying because it can obviously come in. I can 2-shot the Kecleon with Woodhammer or 1-shot it with Swords Dance Woodhammer, so I do have that option as well. But Mimikyu is really important in this match. I feel like it's kind of a weird bring because I feel like its speed tier sits it right in the middle. Like things like Zoroark are going to outspeed it, but I think that having the priority and being able to hit something incredibly hard with Ghostium Z is super worth. And I was really torn between running Z Celesteela versus Z Mimikyu, but I decided to go with Z Mimikyu just because, again, besides Kecleon, he really doesn't have a safe switch into a +2 Ghostium Z Shadow Claw, and it's pretty feasible that I can do that, especially with a lot of, like, I fully expect Milotic and Venusaur to come and, like, Florges and stuff, and those Pokemon are pretty easy for Mimikyu to set up against. And same with, like, Victini. Like, Victini doesn't want to take a Shadow Sneak to the face, so, you know, if he wants to try to break my disguise, I can pretty safely get up a Swords Dance against those Pokemon. The next Pokemon we're bringing, Lynx did say to me, please don't bring Houndoom, but I'm bringing Houndoom. Houndoom this week has kind of a really good matchup. Like, he pretty much has to Scarf something, I think, to handle Houndoom, which is either Electivire or Victini most likely, but Fire Blast, Flame Charge, Dark Pulse, and Solar Beam, I hopefully won't mess up this time, and I'll actually click Flame Charge. We've got the Naive Nature there, enough speed to outspeed Tornadus, and I do feel that if I can get the Sun up and I can get a Flame Charge off on something like a Scissor, which does 1-shot most Scissors, and I can easily get a Flame Charge, there's nothing he can switch into this. Our objective is get Stealth Rocks up, get Sun up, and then get Flame Charge off. Then he has nothing for Houndoom. Nothing really wants to take the hits. So Fire Blast just evaporates his entire team. Solar Beam is there for Milotic. Physically defensive Milotic does not take a Solar Beam in the Sun with solar power, so that's pretty much the straightforward option there for Houndoom. The next Pokemon is going to be our Torkoal. Franklin, of course, here to set the Sun. Stealth Rock, Solar Beam, Earth Power, and Lava Plume. Would love to get Rapid Spin, but with him only having 2 rockers, I only see one of them coming. I'm really not concerned as much about getting spinning away rocks. I think I could work around it. I really want to have Solar Beam there for Quagsire and a little bit more damage on Milotic, but Earth Power, Lava Plume, pretty straightforward. Earth Power for Victini. Lava Plume just hits a couple other things pretty hard, and we could potentially burn some things. So this thing is really physically bulky. It's one of our ways to kind of deal with Scissor, of course. It's one of our ways to deal with Victini, especially if he's not physically offensive. Like if he's not banded, I can definitely take on the Victini relatively well, but I think he's going to go specially offensive, again with Dazzling Gleam, and then again, like I could take on the Kecleon pretty decently, at least switch into it. So we've got that. The next Pokemon is going to be our Como Bro here, rocking a pretty funky set, and this is what I was talking about earlier with Victini Zoroark kind of pairing together. This set kind of deals with both of them in a way. You know, I could take the fire and electric moves that Victini's known for. It's, you know, V-Creates and Blue Flares and Bolt Strikes and stuff like that. I can also take any dark type moves or fire type moves that Zoroark wants to throw at me. I could take Sludge Bombs from Venusaur. You know, if it carries that, Bulletproof will negate that. I could take the Giga Drains, HP Fire, things like that. Like Venusaur really can't do a ton to us either. And the Rosalie Berry there is specifically for Dazzling Gleam Victini. This allows me to switch into Victini, take a fire type move, and then if he goes for the Dazzling Gleam, I can Earthquake it, and while it's not going to kill him, it's going to put him in range, so that way, you know, I can easily revenge kill him later on with Mimikyu or Lycanroc or whatever it may be. So we are like very, very specially defensive. Again, same kind of issue with Zoroark. This allows me to switch into Zoroark relatively safely. I can take the hits from Zoroark. If he goes for a dark type move, I can take those pretty well. You know, this is also a Pokemon that can sort of switch into a lot of different things, like Electivire, stuff like that. Like, kind of takes on those Pokemon relatively well just because I'm so bulky. So that's really the point of Como Bro this week, is just really to kind of take hits and just kind of serve as a middle ground pivot, so I don't get destroyed by some of his bigger offensive threats. And then last but not least is going to be our Celesteela Skydrive, bringing a defensive set. I was going to bring offensive Autotomize, but I felt like the defensive set just was better, man. He does have a Victini, he does have an Electivire. Those two Pokemon can really, really break through Celesteela, but other than that, he kind of struggles to beat Celesteela with his team, so I felt like bringing a defensive set was probably better. Leech Seed, Air Slash, Heavy Slam, Toxic. Toxic for my low deck primarily. Air Slash is just to kind of hit everything. Heavy Slam, obviously, for Florges, and then Leech Seed is just to spread around his team. You know, Venusaur isn't a really reliable switch into Celesteela with me, obviously having Air Slash, so I like that option. So I really feel like Celesteela, it helps me check Scissor, it helps me check on the Florges. You know, obviously Victini and stuff like that wreck it, but again, if I can get Stealth Rocks up, which is a top priority in this match, getting Stealth Rocks up, that Victini's you know, livelihood is going to be kind of diminished, and after Leech Seed and stuff, we can really wear it down. And I do have a few switch-ins to Victini, and even if something ends up dying to the Victini, I have a couple of things that can revenge it. Houndoom outspeeds, you know, Mimikyu priority, and Lycanroc outspeeds and just destroys. So I really felt like we can handle it relatively effectively. And again, the Electivire is scary, but I feel like he probably brings Choice Scarf Electivire if he brings it, just because of the composition of my team. He brings like Volt Switch, Earthquake, Ice Punch, and maybe Wild Charge or something like that. And even in that situation, like again, I feel like I can handle it. So that's the team we're bringing. Gotta break this losing streak, man. It's been rough, but a win this week would put us in playoffs. So that's what's important. We got this week, one more week, and then the playoffs begin. And I gotta win one of the next 2 games to make playoffs. So let's do it, man. Let's make it happen right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Thanks so much for checking out my last video. If you like that one, you'll definitely like this one, and be sure to subscribe for more as I post Pokemon videos every single day.